So I wanted to do another diary entry about the writing of circles and the theory. So today was a really interesting day for me because the book kind of jumped, right? All of a sudden I sat down, I had a minute, the little one was sleeping, and I went from 11 pages to 30. And so about doubled, almost tripled what I had written. Really focusing on the first three chapters and really obsessed with a singular idea, and that is kind of the base instinctual behaviors of humans and where that comes from. So I've been reading a little bit of Camus, which is a blast, and one of the things he talks about is this idea of anxiety being the motivator of behavior. This isn't really a new idea, right? I mean, Schopenhauer talks about this, Heidegger. This is really common in Western thought, that human behavior stems from anxiety and that it motivates us to do specific things. Schopenhauer probably put it the simplest. He talks about a need or a basic instinct resulting in pain or discomfort, motivating us to take a behavior, resulting in fulfillment, and then a new one, right? He famously said something along the lines of, "We work all week, so we can be bored on Sunday." It is this natural part for humans to be motivated by that instinctual need. Now, this is something that Maslow talks about as well, right? He developed his hierarchy of needs, right? The triangle, where at the bottom we have base needs. He identified a structure of them. Everything stemming from those base needs: food, shelter, water, that develops further from that, right? So outside of that, we have different needs like uh, love, satisfaction. It ultimately builds up to self-actualization, which is a much more complex need and has been debated quite a bit. And so I've been toying with that idea of anxiety and a natural anxiety and what instinctual behaviors exist because of that. When I was a kid, I watched this documentary that was really influential on me, and it was about dragons, right? Because of course I watched the one about dragons. And what it was talking about was, did every single culture on the planet, despite geographic barriers and lack of communication with each other, every major culture came up with artistic representations of dragons at about the same time. Now, whether the theories in this show are real or not, are relevant, the point remains. And its theory was that early humans, proto-humans, had three basic predators, and that would have been large snakes, large cats, and big birds. Now, humans at this point had progressed to a point where that wasn't really the deal anymore. There had been shifts in environment, the global climate had changed, a lot of those predators went away, and we had gotten pretty good at making the biggest threat, each other, really, which is a point I should circle back to. But so from that, the anxiety is ingrained. Every animal is born with a base instinctual fear of their predators. And for humans, when those started to disappear, they manifested in an abstract way. And the reason why that point is important is there's a lot of things in a hierarchy of need for humans that are abstract. Love, justice. These are very abstract concepts. So how do we represent them? We represent them through artistic representations. That comes in the form of stories. That comes in the form of myth, song, narrative. We artistically represent abstract ideas. And so from there, we start to develop what is the basis of culture. Now, our anxiety is going to be relative to the environment the individual is placed in. I don't have much anxiety regarding volcanoes because there's none anywhere close to where I am. I think Yellowstone's the closest, and if it erupts, I will probably get a little bit of dust and some ash. It won't be good to breathe, but I'll be okay. Now, if I lived on a Hawaiian island, I might have a greater concern of that as a natural threat. Regardless, we are now tied to our environment and the anxieties inherent to it. These forces of nature are godlike. If a god is a force that is capable of destroying or making a civilization thrive and is completely outside of our control, then nature itself and the manifestations of it are gods. And we have represented these abstract forces in quite a few ways and have made them as mythological concepts and personified them. So to return to Camus again, he suggests that It is the natural state of humans to anthropomorphize things out of our understanding. It is natural for the human to view the universe in an anthropomorphic way, to look at the universe and go, the universe loves or hates, etc. So now this gives us a basis of how cultures start to understand stories and use stories to engage with ideas with each other. So this becomes the premise and laying groundwork of the book and the theory of individuals are motivated by anxiety. We are at a stage where natural predators and even environmental predators have largely become much more of a non-issue. Not that they're not. I mean, we're in the middle of COVID right now, but we are far more equipped to handle them. As a result, we were dealing with higher Maslowian issues, and those anxieties, such as justice, have to manifest themselves in different forms of abstractions and art. Those abstractions and art are how we come to understand ourselves and our cultures, and how we explain how to overcome them. And that's really what the second half of the book has to be about, is how we use stories to pass on the virtues and values in a society to come overcome our anxiety. So this has been a lot of fun to work on. You're probably not, if anybody ever watches this, a fan of the shakiness and cars driving by, but I had to kind of talk this out.